Now, I have to tell you some things that we don't even really discuss in the family a whole lot. I'm 55 years old. Have been variously tested between 166 and 189 IQ. But the most valuable thing that I learned along the way is my father told me at a young age that I needed to pay attention to my sexual education. And he gave me a little notebook. And he told me that every time you get screwed, write it down. And commit it to memory. I've been very good about that.
Right.
One of my main talents is not intelligence, it's the power of observation. I can look at things kind of new and see things that aren't normally seen because I'm not real familiar with it. Or I can pretend like I'm from another planet and take a look. This did me a real good in a previous career with Boardwatch magazine. You know, we had a bunch of hobby bulletin board systems. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it was an expensive hobby, and what I heard a lot from people was that they couldn't afford to do it because the components were very expensive. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you might laugh at that, but in those days, a PC capable of holding files and having like a 40 megabyte hard drive was between $6,000 and $7,000. Mm. The new 9600 baud motor, when U.S. Robotics came out with a 2400 baud motor, it was about $2,500. Wow. And when Hayes introduced the 9600 baud modem, they were about $3,600.
Jeez.
So you could tie up 15 or 20 grand in running a little
5-line bulletin board
system. Mm. And what we found was what these guys really wanted to do was run a bulletin board system for a living.
Wow.
Could you do that? Well, let me give you an example. Our earliest poster child was Bob Mahoney. Bob had an 8-line system up in Milwaukee.
Okay.
And he came up with an innovative concept. He would just charge people $25 a year to get on his bulletin board system and download all these shareware files. Now, how would that work when there's lots of bulletin boards and they have lots of files and they're free?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How could that be?
How could that work? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, for one thing, most of them were 1 or 2 line bulletin board systems, and you would call over and over and get a busy signal. Bob went to 8 lines, and you didn't get a busy signal because other than just to sign up, there wasn't anything you could do there unless you paid the $25 a year.
Okay.
And there were howls of rage. This was
Sold
considered
out.
an enormous fall. This week, a guy got on our blog and was raking me over the coals about open source and Linux. And I just laughed at him. I said, I actually played with Linux for several years. This is an operating system for the religious left who don't believe everything should be free. Nobody should pay for anything. And the result is none of their software works.
None of it works, yeah.
I went through 4 major upgrades of Ubuntu, and every time it broke the Logis Systems wireless keyboard, not really a bit player. Never did work with the Audigy 2 Sound Blaster card. They never work with the hardware because the hardware guys don't support them.
Right. That's just the other way around.
And so it's just, so we've had this with us always. I've been dealing with it for 30 years, and no sympathy, none. Believe whatever you want to believe. It's a broken operating system for kids. It was designed by a kid, Linus Torvalds, who's largely a little long and tooth to still be doing this, but he's trapped in it. He can't get out.
That's right. He's stuck.
They make him do it at this
They
point.
trot him out every now and then.
And he's a religious icon for these fruitcakes who believe that you should work on a computer all day to get it to do computer stuff. None of them actually use them to do anything. They use them to learn about computers.
Yeah.
And it's a great toy. In fact, I was fascinated for several years and got to do some amazing things, and I had a great sense of accomplishment until I look at what I got it to do, which was
have a keyboard and
what production
sound
computers
card.
were doing. Normally. So if you actually have work to do, like film editing or something like that, it's silly thing. But that's what we faced with the early BBS guys.